All right, welcome back to FAWKES News. If you like my short formatted content that you see here and you want some more long formatted content tonight, 7:30 p.m. over on the Failure to Stop podcast channel, which has a YouTube channel and a live chat at 7:30 p.m. Society and Culture News. Be covering the Diddy case with comedian J. Darrell White, comedian Margaret Owens, who have been staying up on this whole P. Diddy Society and Culture, all the names on the list, all of the whole saga. So if you want to catch that live tonight, head over there. If not, it drops to audio quickly after on podcast. So that's Failure to Stop podcast, and it'll be the Monday show, which is Society and Culture. It's called Uncuffed on the Failure to Stop podcast. So just head over to Failure to Stop podcast, click on Uncuffed, and then you can listen to that whole episode or join us in the live chat. It's that much more. It's that much more simpler. I don't know. Seem on a student at best. Why would they release the Ryan Routh Manifesto? That's weird, isn't it? Does anybody else ask if that's weird? Listen, I'm not opposed to it. Let me start there. I'm not opposed to releasing manifesto. I think we, the people, get to see all the documents in any court case. People have different perspectives. You can learn other things. Like they always say, if you're on an aircraft in the military and you smell something burning, that the power of suggestion is real. And so somebody else might not notice it until you bring it up. So if you smell an electrical fire burning and you bring it up, then all of a sudden other people will be like, oh my gosh, you're right. And you could save the airplane from falling out of the sky. If you've ever been around and in and around military aircraft, you've probably heard something like that. Well, I think it goes the same way with media and media and transparency. There's a lot we can learn from manifestos, but here's the thing. If we're not going to release manifestos, if that's going to be the policy, like we don't negotiate with terrorists, under no circumstances do we negotiate, and it like has to be across the board, then it needs to be even and across the board. Because I don't understand when it's some far right-wing racist like Christopher Harper Mercer in Oregon, and they release his entire manifesto, which is insane. If you haven't read it, if you want to read it, check the show notes on this YouTube channel, and I will put a link to his manifesto. It's unhinged. He talks about his favorite movie. He talks about which black people he's referring to not liking, why he's a racist, how he thinks racists should be, how he thinks that certain people should be eradicated on this. I mean, it's mind-blowing bonkers, like how deranged and unhinged this guy was. But here it is. Here's his manifesto. You can read it clear as day. I wonder what the Vegas manifesto said. Guess we'll never know if there even was one, because we don't get to hear anything about the Vegas shooting. But then we have Audrey Hale. Was that her name? Audrey Hale? His name? God, it's been so long. Remember when they tried to release that manifesto, but then somehow the state of Tennessee said, oh, nope, we've given the rights over to the parents, and the parents just don't want to release it. However, they're going to release 2 pages, which to me are the not 2 pages, but the 2 paragraphs, the 2 little screenshots of pages. And they released the 2 paragraphs that honestly would be the one that makes other people want to copycat this. Like nobody wants to hear about how Hale wanted to kill a whole bunch of people. We know that. That's evident. That's apparent. Duh. What we want to know is the why. What was in her brain? Why did she want to kill these people? What was it that made her unhinged so that we can learn from? So the power of suggestion, maybe there's a psychiatrist out there or somebody smarter than the big government, which I guarantee you, if they're on the personal sector, they're already smarter than whoever the American government hired. Maybe they could have an epiphany and say like, oh, hang on, there's something here. But we can't even do research on it because we're not allowed to see it. All we can see is that she wanted to kill a lot of people. And then just kind of like a loose paragraph on what looks to me is like, if you were going to copycat it, that's all you need to see to want to copycat it. And now we have this would-be Trump assassin releasing a manifesto that he dropped off in a box months ago. We're about to dive into this, and I'm going to show you all the receipts as I always do. I'll even pull up the court documents for you to read it yourself. All the references will be in the show notes. This is a very bizarre how they release parts of this manifesto that I listen, maybe leave me a comment in the chats and let me know your opinion on this. But my opinion on the release of this manifesto that I'm about to read to you, really, they released the only thing that makes somebody else want to do this again, a monetary reward. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that there's probably no monetary reward. This guy who makes $3,000 a month, according to the press, and has spent all of his money flying back and forth from Hawaii to Greensboro, North Carolina, over to Ukraine and back on $3,000 a month. And now he's got allegedly $150,000 for the guy who died. Why release that part of the manifesto? Government that's been so transparent in the Butler shooting and so transparent with all the other investigations that the feds are involved in. Gretchen Whitmer case, Vegas shooting, all these other cases that they're so transparent with us. The Hunter Biden laptop. Ooh, they were real. They really gave us all that information there, didn't they? What was on that laptop? Huh. Interesting. Last time I checked, Hunter Biden wasn't a president, wasn't an elected official. Why are we working so hard to protect a criminal laptop with lots of criminal stuff all over? Why are we so willing to protect that? Oh, remember the cocaine in the White House? How well that was protected? Interesting. Which might be what led Ron DeSantis. And if you go back to the episode that I just did on Ron DeSantis taking the investigation over from the FBI, great episode of this show, by the way, FAWKES show. One of the bigger moments in American history, if it's true. But these are some of the things that Ron DeSantis brings up. Another question that he brings up is, how did they know he was going to be at the golf course? Now, Trump does golf every weekend, but does he golf at the same golf course every weekend? Especially one that's completely closed to the public until October? How did Ryan know to get in there and to burrow in one of the hard target areas that's typically, according to the press, swept before Trump gets there? But because this golf course was closed, there was no sweep. There was just a Secret Service agent walking ahead of Trump from hole to hole. But there was no initial sweep, because if there was an initial sweep, then this guy would have been found, almost like if the pipe bomb outside the DNC, which was right there next to all the big cameras, and, you know, so left out in the open that a police officer sitting in a car that had been sitting there for a while just automatically, as suddenly is like, hey, there's a bomb right over there. Interesting. Isn't it crazy how these sweeps are going? Like, how all of this is going makes you kind of wonder who's really hunting. Is there a mole in the Secret Service? Is there a mole in one of these 3-letter agencies? I don't know. Seems pretty nefarious when you start adding it all up, though. But listen, this is less emotion, more facts. I'm sorry to go down, but this is frustrating to me as a former police officer, somebody who's used to doing investigations. We start adding the evidence together. Listen, all the 4 years I've been doing true crime. I don't know. Sometimes when it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, waddles like a duck, does all the thing a duck does. Probably looking at a duck. Probably more probable than not. So when you look at all of this evidence, I'm about to show it to you right now. What do we do with it? What are we supposed to do with it? Have you seen anything like this before? Have you seen the FBI be so transparent to release a manifesto like this that, to me, just looks like it encourages other people to want to try the same daggone thing? Before I get into this, there's some stuff that Don Bongino, who worked for the Secret Service, listen, it's a good podcast, the Don Bongino Show. I listen to it every once in a while. It's a lot of the same. But when it comes to things in the Secret Service, he's Johnny on the spot. And he's been Johnny on the spot all year, because the one job that he does and that he podcasts about has been the one thing that's been going on for the last 6 or 7 months. I like to hear what he has to say about it. He's speaking from experience. So he's been in a bunch of briefings and hearings. I thought this one was interesting about Butler. Take a listen to this.
Why was there no security hold put on Trump at any time if you had some kind of individual, I mean, that Ben, as Mr. Schaefer has described, actually did arise to a threat level? Why was there no security hold put on President Trump? Why was he allowed to go on the stage? Why wasn't he taken down? Why didn't we see a pause?
That for me?
Yeah, Dan.
What makes your question even more impactful is every Secret Service site for a high threat level protectee has what they call a holding room, which you would guess is for holding the protectee. I see Congressman Gacy because it's actually called the holding room. The holding room is for things just like this. The holding room is let's say a congressman shows up and is a little late. There's an accident. They'll hold him in the holding room saying, Joy, you all have been in it. None of this is new. You've been in the holding room. There's a Secret Service agent at the door. You guys have congressional hardpins. A staffer escorts you in. Every one of you has seen this or will in the Trump administration. This is not a mystery to anyone. Why was he put on what Eric had called, accurately so, the X? We use the exact same terminology as the military. The X is where that protectee or that limo with the protectee in it is. Why was he put on the X? You have an open threat. Ben is described and your timeline lays out was there for an hour. I'm not going to play any word games. Were they a threat or suspicious? Well, if you're a threat, it's because you're doing something suspicious. And if you're suspicious, it's because you could be a threat. These are silly, stupid word games. You know when it's not a threat? When your CSU or PI team goes and grabs the guy and determines he's not a threat. Until then, your question's accurate. You put him in the holding room, which is the point of the holding room.
Before a football game or a hockey game, if you're working off duty as a police officer, they usually take one or two cops and they take a dog and a canine officer and they'll sweep all of the big parts of the stadium before anybody even gets there. Before anybody gets there, they sweep everything. I've been on that detail. Oh, I remember it, man. I can remember having that job. I only did it like twice, 2 different events. You know, you don't want to be the guy responsible for missing something. So you're looking, I did it. Open up a trash can, look inside. It's empty. Shake the bag. Make sure there's nothing heavy in the bag. Go to the next trash can. Matter of fact, I looked up a trash can one time and the trash bag was full of air. You know how it works when you put the trash can on the trash bin, but you don't let all the air out of it. And so it's really poofed out. And so anyway, people are going to throw cups and it's going to stack up and it's just going to go out everywhere. And I thought to myself, why would some janitor do that? Either one, he's incompetent and he wants to clean up a bunch of shit later today, or somebody else quickly unraveled this, shoved a bunch of shit down in there and blew it back up and didn't put all the air out of it. I don't know. Either way, it needs to be fixed. And if that's what it was, it just needed to be fixed. That little air bubble needed to get out of the trash can. But you get what I'm saying is that we cleared all of these areas and you don't want to be the guy that fucks this up. So at a golf course that's not supposed to be open to the public, and you were put on the detail to go and sweep this before Donald Trump goes out and calls, what do you think you're going to sweep? Any woods in the area? Probably any houses in the area? At least walk by them, look at the windows, look at a lot. I mean, it's not that difficult, but you're definitely going to sweep the woods or any chain link fence with a whole bunch of foliage around it. So the fact that this guy got in there and sat there for 12 hours before Donald Trump got there on a closed golf course, my goodness, raises some questions, but it's going to get even more weird. Let me wrap this up. It's not supposed to be super long. By the way, I will put this, this is a criminal cover sheet. I'll put the link to this in the show notes today. I just want to let you know that I did go and pull the receipts for this. This is the criminal cover sheet. I just want to say the perimeter of Trump International, when the U.S. Secret Service agents saw what happened, what appeared to be a rifle poking out of the tree line, the agent fired his service weapon in the direction of the rifle. A witness saw a male, later identified as Routh, fleeing the area of the tree line and entering a Nissan Sport utility vehicle. This witness then observed the Nissan leave the area at a high rate of speed. In the area of the tree line from which Routh fled, agents found a digital camera, 2 bags, including a backpack, a loaded SKS-style 7.62 caliber rifle with a scope, and a black plastic bag containing food. The serial number on the SKS-style rifle was obliterated and unreadable to the naked eye. Based upon my training experience, I'm aware that the SKS style 7.62 caliber rifles are not manufactured in the state of Florida. Therefore, I submit there is a probable cause to believe that the SKS rifle, which was seized from the tree line of the Trump administration, had previously traveled. All right, so I just wanted to paint a picture of how this works. Now, my question here says, the agent fired his service weapon in the direction of the rifle. So a Secret Service agent walking ahead is able to see this rifle sticking out of a fence. And he's able to start taking and putting rounds on there. But no Secret Service agent cleared that area or found anything like that before Trump even started golfing. That's just not true. That's just not reality. Like we told back in Butler with the holding area. That's why I played you the clip about the holding area. We all know what a holding area. You ever been to a wedding? You know the steps that you go through to get the groom not to see the bride? Everybody kind of pulls that off. It's not really that difficult. She stays in the holding room. You got the girl that walks out. Make sure he's not there. You got your poking heads. Did a little recon, goes up to the thing, make sure he's not there, comes back, gets the bride. Come on, come on, come on. We're good. We're good. He's not around. He's not around. You know. Bridesmaid to groomsman one. Bridesmaid to groomsman one. Where's groomsman one at this time? Taking jello shots. Some whore. All right, good. We're moving the bride into location. You know. My point is that these aren't mistakes that the Secret Service just makes. These are calculated mistakes, guys. There's too many of them for this to be incompetence at this point. And now you've got Ryan Routh, who drops a box off. Let me read you this. Hang on. Let me find it up here. There we go. In a court hearing, prosecutors, this is from CNN. In a court hearing, prosecutors also said that they plan to charge Ryan Routh with attempting to assassinate Trump, and federal magistrate ordered Routh to remain detained pending further proceedings. A witness told investigators that Routh had dropped off a box at his home months before, which contained ammo, metal pipe, miscellaneous building materials, tools, 4 phones, various letters. After learning of the apparent assassination attempt, the witness opened the box, according to the filing, and he read one letter. This is the one letter that they decide us peasants should get to hear. And in my opinion, unless you're going to release the whole damn thing, why just choose this to release to the American public? And I think you and I are going to have the same answer, because that's why you're listening to FAWKES News. The world said this this was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I failed you. I tried my best and I gave it all. I gave it all the gumption I could muster. It is up to you now to finish the job, and I will offer $150,000 to whomever complete this job. Trump ended relations with Iran like a child, and now the Middle East has unraveled, the letter says. Multiple letters. And that's the one that you want to leak to the American public and have headline news all over the media today. I don't know about you. What does it sound like to you? I don't think this is the last attempt that they're going to make. And what scares me the most is it really, really appears that the Secret Service and other 3-letter agencies are rooting for the assassination. And that's really, really frightening. Let me know what you think down in the comments. We will be live tonight, 7:30 p.m. on the Featherstop Podcast channel. We'll see you guys there.